In other words, actually, friends, God adds His signature here to His law. Without this fourth commandment, any other God could come along and say, well, that's my law. I believe the same thing. That's describing me. I'm the author of that law. But God said, no, I'm going to put my signature in there that will set me apart as the only one who can be recognized as the giver of that law. He said, there in the fourth
Few
commandment,
people have thought about God signing His name to the law, he wrote. But today, Joe Cruz, Amazing Facts Crusade speaker, proves that God did that very thing. His subject, the seal of God.
That's what... Now we are going to add a 10th point to our long list of identifying marks concerning the little horn and the beast of Revelation 13. I want us to come down to the number of the beast. Now some of you, of course, have heard and read about the 666, haven't you? You know all about the 666. In fact, Revelation 13:18. Listen to this statement now. In fact, this is so very fascinating for us. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 66. 600, 66. You've heard that, haven't you? 666. All right. Where does that number fit in here with this power we've just talked about? This says that it's the number of the beast. But it goes right on to say it is a number of a man. And the verse before this says it is the number of his name. All right, that's verse 17. Verse 17 says it's the number of his name. Verse 18 says it's a number of the beast, and it's a number of a man. So when we put these three things together, what do we get? We get this, that it's the number of the name of the man that is ahead of the beast's power. See, because it's ahead of the beast, it's the number of a man and it's the number of a name. So that means it has to be the number of the name of the man who is the head of the beast's power. Well, of course, the Pope is the head of that power. Well, you say, does he have a name then? And does that name have a number? Because we'd have to find that out and get that answer in order to know whether this text has been fulfilled or not in this prophecy. Yes, friends, he does have a name, and it's an official name, really. It's in Latin. In fact, that's the language of the church, you know very well. And the name that has been given is Vicarius Filii Dei. And that means vicar of the Son of God. Vicar of the Son of God. Now, friends, there was an ancient method of getting the number of a name, and that was to get the numerical value of every letter in that name and then adding it up in order to get the sum, which would be the number of the name. And as our audience here can see on the screen, the number of that name is Vicarius Filii Dei. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the number of that name. Each letter has a numerical value according to Roman numerals. You folk understand that very well. And so Vicarius is spelled V-I-C-A-R-I-U-S. Filii, F-I-L-I-I. Dei, D-E-I. Now let's get the number of the name. Let's add up the numerical value of all those letters. In the Roman numerals, V is what? That's 5, isn't it? So V is 5, I is 1, C is 100, A and R have no value. Some letters don't have any value in the Roman numerals. And then I is 1, and then the U and the V are all the same thing in Roman numerals, so that would be 5 again. S has no value. Filii, F-I-L-I-I, F has no value. I is 1, L is 50, I is 1, I is 1, and then D-I, D-E-I, D is 500, E has no value, I is 1. Now when we add all of that together, friends, we get 666. And that's the number of his name. Now, it's very interesting. At one time, that actual Latin title appeared on the mitre of the Pope's crown. It is no longer there, but every time a new Pope is coronated, those words are spoken. Vicarius Filii Dei, which means vicar or representative of the Son of God on earth. And so the official name then, we found the number of it, 666. You might say, well, Brother Joe, you know, maybe your name or my name might accidentally come out to be that if we added up the numerical value of the letters. Yes, that is altogether possible, friends, and that's why I only add this as a 10th point of identity down here at the end of our other 9 points. You see, if we only had that 1 point, we wouldn't even use it. It might be indeed a coincidence. But it's almost as though we had everything else about this power, and now we get the final crowning climax of evidence. It's almost like you're looking for a house on a certain street. You know the name of the street. You know the color of the house. You know the kind of roof it has and the kind of windows it has, but then somebody gives you the number of the house, and that pins it down finally. You really know then exactly where the house is. And so what we've added here is a great crowning bit of evidence, my friends, that shows that we're right as we have put these points before you concerning the identity of this beast and the little horn power. Now, friends, we're going to do something very, very interesting. We're going to turn to look at our beast for a moment. Please notice something here interesting. Look at the beast. Do you notice the combination? It has the body of the leopard, the feet of the bear, the mouth, and the heads and the crowns and so forth here. This beast, which we have now identified without any question. I don't believe anybody can say, well, Brother Joe, you've not really proven that point. These points over here prove without question that this is indeed the papacy. Now, notice this beast is made up of the 4 beasts of Daniel 7. It has the body of the leopard beast, the feet of the bear, the mouth of the lion, and the 10 horns of the 4th beast. Why does God represent this modern religious system that we have clearly identified tonight as the papacy? Why does God represent that as being made up of these old pagan kingdoms of Babylon, Medo, Persia, Greece, and Rome? I'll tell you why, friends, because when it was formed, it drew much of its doctrine and philosophy and teaching out of paganism. And we've given some examples of that already in the past messages. But there was a counterfeit system set up. And instead of the Word of God, it was tradition. Instead of the Holy Spirit, it was the Pope. Instead of the one sacrifice of Christ, it was the Mass. Instead of communion, it was transubstantiation. Instead of baptism, it was sprinkling. Instead of the eternal law of God, it was a changed law. Instead of tithes, it was taxes and indulgences. Instead of death, it was purgatory. Instead of the seal of God, it was the mark of the beast. Now, we're not going to deal with all of those counterfeits here today. We're only going to look at that last one, the seal of God and the mark of the beast, because these two things are in competition with each other according to the Bible. So let's turn now and think of this for a moment. The mark of the beast, what is it? Well, friends, it is something opposed to the seal of God. Did you know in the book of Revelation that 2 things are spoken of as going into the forehead? You know, of course, that the mark of the beast goes on the forehead. We read that a moment ago. In Revelation 14, 9, and 10, in fact, maybe we'll just drop back there quickly to point this out once more, the text that we opened with today. But it says, if any man worship the beast and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Now here is a mark of loyalty and allegiance to the beast power. But did you know in chapter 7 of Revelation it speaks about the seal of God, the mark of God going into the forehead also? Many people don't understand this. Go back with me now to chapter 7 of Revelation and look at verses 2 and 3. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads. Now there it is. God has a mark that He puts in the forehead. The beast power has a mark that he puts in the forehead. One of them, a mark of loyalty to God. The other one, a mark of loyalty to the beast power. And these two things are competing with each other. They're in the same arena. They're diametrically opposed to each other. Now, what are they, friends? First of all, let's find out what the seal of God is, and then that will help us understand what the mark of the beast is, because they're connected. They're related to each other. What about a seal? What is a seal? Many of you folk know, of course, that it has to do with legal matters. It's something that gives authority to something, isn't it? It shows authority. All legal documents have to have that seal. In fact, all the laws that are passed by this government have the official seal of the United States placed upon it to show that this is authoritative. This is legal. And a seal always has three things, all right? It has the name of the authority, the title of the authority, and the territory of the authority. For example, the President of the United States, he has his own seal. And it is Ronald Reagan, President, United States of America. And if you've seen that in some of the news cast and the news interviews, there it was in the background, the great seal of the President of the United States of America. And even a little notary public has the same thing. He's got to have those three required characteristics in his seal: the name, the office or title, and the territory. So remember that the seal has to do with legal matters, and it shows authority, and it has these three required things in it: the name, the office, and the territory. Now, friends, let me ask you this question. Does God's great seal have to do with His great legal document? In other words, now all legal documents have to be sealed. And so I'm asking, does God's great legal document, His law, is it related to the seal of God? Come back with me now to Isaiah chapter 8, and I'm reading verse 16. Listen to this. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. Now here God's seal is connected with His law. Well, of course, we just found out that seals have to do with legal matters, legal documents. And here's God's legal document, and it says, seal the law among my disciples. Now, friends, listen. Under the new covenant, where does God place His law? You remember over here now in the book of Hebrews in the New Testament? Where does God put His law? Listen to this. Listen to this. For this is the covenant that I'll make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. Verse 10 of Hebrews 8. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. See, friends, God's law is put right here in the mind. You see, you keep the law with your mind and your decision and your choice. And you keep it with your hand also, don't you? You keep it physically and you obey it spiritually. That's the way you do it. God says, I'm going to put my law into their minds, or into the forehead here. Now, please drop back to Exodus 13 for a very, very interesting statement here in verse 9. Exodus 13, verse 9. And it shall be for a sign unto thee. It shall be for what? A what? A sign unto thee upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. Now here, he speaks of the law as being put between the eyes. Well, that's right on the forehead, isn't it? And he's going to write it where? In the mind. And he's going to put it in the hand. God's law is spoken of as being bound to the hand because we obey it physically and keep it physically. And then it's spoken of as being put between the eyes, upon the forehead, in the mind, because people obey it spiritually as well as physically. So here we have then God's law, the seal, and we found it said seal the law, so God's seal is connected with it, and the seal is going into the forehead. We read in Revelation the seal would go into the forehead. The law goes into the forehead. Now, before we try to identify, friends, the seal in the law, because the seal's got to be there somewhere, and we're going to look for it in a moment. Let me ask this question. What constitutes a person's authority? For example, now let's think of the President of the United States. What position does he hold by virtue of which he claims authority? He has an office, doesn't he? He holds a position. And by virtue of that position, he claims certain powers and certain authority. And that position is what? The President of the United States of America. And by virtue of that, he claims the authority that is vested in him. All right, now we need to understand that very, very closely. Now, if God has a seal, what is his position? What is his office, if you please, by virtue of which he claims authority over the earth? Why, friends, he's the Creator, isn't he? He's the Creator God. And all through the Bible, God makes the special claim. He says, I'm the true God. I'm the only one to be worshiped. I'm the one who made the heavens and the earth and set everything in motion that exists. Now let's turn and read a few texts like this that are really exciting. For example, in Jeremiah 10. Jeremiah chapter 10, and I'm reading there verse 10 and then verse 11. But the Lord is the true God. He is the living God and everlasting King. At his wrath the earth shall tremble, and the nations shall not be able to abide his indignations. Thus shall ye say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom, and has stretched out the heavens by his discretion. Now he compares himself or contrasts himself with the other gods. He said, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, they're nothing. They're idols. But I'm the Creator God. I'm the one to be worshiped. And this distinguishes me and sets me apart as the only one to be worshiped. Come back into the book of Isaiah now, chapter 40. And we notice there very similar claims that God makes. Chapter 40 of Isaiah, and then verses 25 and 26 and 28. To whom then will ye liken me, or shall I be equal, saith the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high, and behold, who hath created these things, that bringeth out their host by number? Verse 28, hast thou not known, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting God, the Lord, the Creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not? Oh, he said, I'm the one that rules the universe. I'm the one who has power and authority over the universe, because I have made it, and I'm not to be compared with any other. I'm not equal to any other, because I have made all of these things. And then we turn the page there to chapter 42 of Isaiah. Thus, and verse 5, thus saith God the Lord, He that created the heavens and stretched them out, He that spread forth the earth, and that which cometh out of it, He that giveth breath unto the people upon it, and spirit to them that walk therein. And verse 8, I'm the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another. And then coming on down to chapter 44 and verse 6, let's come down to verse 24. Thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, and He that formed thee from the womb, I'm the Lord that maketh all things, that stretch forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself. And Isaiah 45, verse 12, I have made the earth and created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their host have I commanded. So over and over again, God says, I'm the true God. You're to worship me, because I made everything that was made. Look at Psalm 96. Psalms 96 and verse 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. You get that again? He's comparing himself now, or contrasting himself with the idols. He said, I made the heavens, and all the other gods, they're idols. And then one more text here. Come to Revelation 4 and verse 11. Revelation 4:11, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for Thou hast created all things. Now listen, what makes God worthy of honor, my friends, to be worshiped and to be acknowledged and recognized? He's the Creator God. He made us. He gave life to everything. Not any other God has been able to do that. And so God boasts of that. These are His divine credentials. He said, I've done this. The other gods cannot do this at all. I'm the one to be worshiped. Now, friends, listen. After He made the heavens and the earth, what sign did He give the world as evidence that He was the Creator alone? What did He set up as a memorial or a divine reminder of His power as the creator of the heavens and the earth? Well, you know that in Genesis 2 and verses 1, 2, and 3. Listen. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day God ended His work which He had made, and He rested on the seventh day from all His work which He had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it He had rested from all His work which God created and made. Listen, He gave the Sabbath as a great sign of His creative power. He said every time the seventh day comes around in every city and village and hamlet in the world, as the seventh-day Sabbath travels around the world and comes to every town and every city, it will remind the world, He said, that I'm the Creator God. I'm giving you the Sabbath so that you will always remember. Remember, I'm the one to be worshiped. I'm the one who made everything and everybody. And the Sabbath will be my sign. And when you keep the Sabbath, you will know that I'm the only God to be recognized and to be worshiped. What a tremendous thing, friends. Now, with this little background, folks, let me ask the question, where do we find God's seal in His law? Now remember, it has to be connected with His law. We read a moment ago in Isaiah, seal the law among my disciples. So the seal is connected with the law, and it has to be something that is His signature. It gives credentials to Him. It gives authority to Him. Come with me now to the Ten Commandments as they're written in Exodus 20. Exodus chapter 20, and we're going to read here now beginning in verse 3. This is the first commandment of the 10. And here's what it says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Now what are we looking for, friends? What are the three things in a seal that makes it authentic? The name, the office, and the territory. Three things, and that's a requirement for a true seal. Now, we don't find His name or His office or His territory in the first commandment. So let's go to the next one. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that's in heaven above or in the earth beneath or in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Now here you have His name, but you don't have His office or His territory. So we move on to the third commandment. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh His name in vain. Now here we have His name given to us again, but not His title or His territory. So we move to the next commandment, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. Friends, here it is. Right in the very heart of God's great moral law, He puts the three things that constitute a seal. His name is here. His title or office is here, the Maker, the Creator, and His territory is here, the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that in them is. In other words, actually, friends, God adds His signature here to His law. Without this fourth commandment, any other God could come along and say, well, that's my law. I believe the same thing. That's describing me. I'm the author of that law. But God said, no, I'm going to put my signature in there that will set me apart as the only one who can be recognized as the giver of that law. He said, there in the fourth commandment, I am the creator of the heavens and the earth and everything that was made. And I'm the only God that meets this description. And so, friends, there is God's seal. That's what shows His authority. That's what puts Him in a position, my friends, of power and of authority and of recognition by all mankind. He is the true God. And so the seal of God then, friends, is the Sabbath. The Sabbath. The only commandment that has it. Seal the law among my disciples. Now you may say, well, Brother Joe, is there any other text in the Bible that would indicate that the Sabbath is God's seal? Yes, turn with me now to the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel chapter 20, and I'm reading verse 12. Moreover also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I'm the Lord that sanctified them. Now, here's something interesting. God calls the Sabbath here His sign. Well, you say, Brother Joe, that's not seal. That's not the same as a seal. But, folks, it really is. You see, these words sign and seal are used interchangeably in the Bible. Did you know that? Come with me to Romans 4 now, verse 11, and let's read the text that proves this. Romans 4, verse 11. And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the faith which he had. Notice that sign and seal are the same thing. They're used interchangeably in the Bible. And so when God said, the Sabbath is my sign, He was really saying the Sabbath is my seal. And it's the only one of the commandments that has the three required characteristics of a true seal. And it's used in connection with His law, His great legal document, and it shows that He is the only authority to be worshiped. So that is the seal of God.